Welcome to the 90s Kid Library Podcast. I'm your host, Jared Goodman. I'm a professor, collector, and librarian of a pretty extensive home library of 90s media. I started this podcast to learn more about my favorite books, movies, and TV shows from this era, and we got a fantastic guest today. It's Slappy herself! You heard me correctly. The actress who donned the costume and the Slappy mask to play everyone's favorite dummy in the classic Goosebumps episode Night of the Living Dummy 3. She also played Sari in another great episode, Return of the Mummy. But that's not all. She starred in a bunch of movies and TV shows from her childhood, including Lamb Chops, Adventures of Shirley Holmes. She's a voice actor with notable roles in Cyber Chase, Total Drama Island, and Franklin. Her latest show, Mermicorno, is currently airing new episodes on HBO Max. She will be at the Houston Horror Film Fest, August 8th to the 10th, New Jersey HorrorCon in Edison, New Jersey, September 27th and 28th, and finally Monster Expo in Taunton, Massachusetts, October 18th and 19th. Please welcome Annick Obonsawin.
I always was entertaining my parents, always dancing, singing, and my dream was to be on Sesame Street. And
Wow.
yeah, at like 4 years old, I just said I wanted to be part of Sesame Street. And so they supported me. I did a little bit of, so I went to an all French school, so completely French. And we would do sometimes they would take some of the kids from my French school and bring them over to Global, and they had a little French show there. So we would sing along. It was kind of like a Barney's, but for in French, for French TV. And that was like a little bit of a experience that I had. I knew that I wanted to be on more sets, and I loved the whole working atmosphere. Um, but my parents were extremely hesitant, rightly so, and there was an audition for a new children's show called, and again, we're going way back in time here,
Yeah.
but called the Adventures of Dudley the Dragon. They were doing an English version and a French version, and they'd already cast the English version, and it was an open audition, so anybody could go. And I think I found out about it through the kids at my French school, begged my parents to take me, and in their minds, they were like, okay, look, we'll just take her for this audition. She'll get us a sense of like what rejection is all about, and she'll not want to do this anymore.
Uh-huh.
And I ended up getting the lead role,
Oh, wow. Yeah, of course. Of course you did.
which was so amazing. So I ended up getting the lead role, and I did Dudley for a season only. And but that's kind of how I got the ball rolling, and I did the show, and within that time I got an agent and just started to actually properly audition for things, bigger things. And I only lasted a season on that show, but it was such a wonderful experience. Um, and then yeah, within like months I was living in LA doing Sherry Lewis and Lamb Chops play
I
along.
was going to ask you about that next. So I do want to ask, but how old were you around this time that you were doing Dudley's Dragon?
I think I just turned 10 years old. So, yeah, 9 or 10 years old. I got the part at 9, and I think we started filming. I turned 10 years old while we were filming. Yeah.
Okay, so cool. And then, like you were saying, you were doing Lamb Chops Play Along not long after that. When I was a kid, I loved Lamb Chops Play Along. Watched it all the time. I most likely saw you on there when you were one of Lamb Chop's playmates. So this was I guess your second big gig. Is that right?
I would say so, absolutely. I would even say it's like my first big gig because it was American and it was such an established show, and Sherry is such an icon. But and also I think just getting to say I'm going to LA, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I had a bit of experience doing Dudley, but yeah, it was kind of my big second job that I auditioned for. I had to send an audition tape, and I sent an audition of me doing an Elvis song, like an
Oh,
Elvis.
cool.
Yeah, and then they wanted a kids song, and I turned it into like a rap rock thing. Anyways, I got the part. So, and then I ended up actually, believe it or not, doing that Elvis impersonation. on Elvis's actual pony. Um, that
Really?
yeah, it was incredible. I got knocked down. He kicked up his back legs and I fell off the horse.
Oh no.
Totally, totally worth it. But yeah, that was like my big second show, and we did that on and off for about 3 seasons until I got too old. Um, but yeah, that was like my first big thing, I think I would say. Yeah.
Shari Lewis I mean, to me, was always very funny. She seemed like such a kind person, really loved working with the kids on the show. What was your experience like working with her?
Oh, I've never seen, and again, I was a kid at the time, so I didn't really understand what I was looking at. I've never seen someone with so much energy, just go, go, go. Always so delightful with the kids, delightful with the crew. I got to know Sherry's daughter. I mean, it was a
Oh wow. And
very,
she's
yeah,
working now too, yeah.
I
As
know.
the carrying the torch, I guess you could say. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So it was just a very intimate kind of family vibe. I had never no sense that I was working, lots of animals on set. So Sherry was just incredible. Like I said, I never seen, and she was so tiny. She couldn't have been taller than 4'11", you know? So to see this Spitfire, um, the Spitfire with so much charisma and kindness. She blew me away, especially being in my early 40s now, and I'm just like, I don't even like, I don't know how she had that much energy. And she seemed so healthy to boot. Like she was always eating healthy and oh, I gotta, you know, so she was just great. Wonderful. I couldn't have asked for a better kind of mama bear figure on the set. Even though all the moms were always on the set, she was like an extra protector, you know? So she was wonderful. Really great.
Well, that's so gratifying to hear, you know, that
Yeah.
you because she on screen that's how she appeared, and it's nice to hear that's how she was off screen as well.
Yeah.
When you were so I did track down an episode that you were specifically in, and I can't remember the song you were singing, but Lamb Chop was actually on your head
Oh my God.
on top of your, which is so amazing. When you were working with Shari Lewis and these puppet characters, did it like I know you're old enough to realize like, oh, these are puppets being controlled by Shari Lewis, but did you view them as unique characters when you were actually working with them on the set? Did Lamb Chop seem like Lamb Chop as opposed to an inanimate object, for example?
You forget, man. You just forget that somebody's hand is there and I would talk to the puppets, whether they were because there were other people too. It wasn't always Sherry, right? Especially if Hush Puppy and Charlie Horse and stuff, they needed extra puppeteers. But you even as even as an adult, like
Yeah.
you forget. You get lost in the imagination. And I think even as a kid, I was aware that it's a puppet, but you bonded with them and their own little personalities. So I allowed myself as a kid, and I also would like to think I do as an adult, to let my imagination roam, especially with puppeteering in children's entertainment. It's such a free space. So no, I would totally forget. And they ended up giving me, which I think I still have the lamb chops doll. Um, uh,
Really?
yeah, so it was kind of like obviously it wasn't a replica, but it was something I could take home. And I remember just lining
Oh, it's so
them
nice.
up on the sofa if I watched TV, and they would just hang with me because we weren't at work anymore. So yeah,
Hmm.
you totally get lost in it. It's like I just read this article about somebody and his a famous actor, and his father passed away. And he was able to hold it together on set until, and I think he was going on Sesame Street or something, until Elmo apologized and said his condolences about the dad, and this actor lost it. He just started crying. So it's like they're so innocent and fun, and you do bond and connect with these little creatures. So yeah, I loved every second of it.
It's funny. I heard a very similar story, or maybe I'm getting mixed up. But Danny Trejo was
That's
on the set
him.
of.
Yeah.
Was that one? Okay. So yeah, he was on the set of one of the Muppet
Okay,
movies.
that's what
It
it was.
was, yeah. Oh, which one was it? It was the sequel to the revival that Jason Segel was doing. But I think yeah, his mom or dad died, and I think Kermit was the one consoling him, and yeah, he really lost it when Kermit was doing that. Even though logically we know that this is a puppet being controlled by a human, but
Yeah.
maybe it's just getting lost or suspending our disbelief, our imagination taking over. But emotionally, it affects us, and I feel that way too about these puppets and these. I guess you can call them even dummies to some extent. I think Shari Lewis was a very good ventriloquist.
Yeah. Thank you for, I'm so glad you got that story. I knew I was missing a bunch of,
Oh, that's okay.
but the
Yeah.
point was the same, but I was like so happy. But yeah, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. But I just was so happy you had heard the same story, but you got it right.
Or maybe I'm
No, you
misremembering.
did.
I
You
don't know.
got it. Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, it is. It's amazing, and I think that that's. I wouldn't want to be with or know anybody who can just be with a puppet and just not be affected in some manner. It just goes back to like Jim Henson's world, for example.
Yeah.
Like, how are you gonna hang out in there and not get like lost and all the magic and stuff? That's when I don't know. That's such a vulnerable and special ability we have, and we access it a lot easier freely as children. But I would hate to grow up and be an adult and not have that anymore, you know? So, anyways, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so they let you take home one of the lamb chop puppets. Did you try it out yourself? Did you ever get into
Ah,
ventriloquism? I mean,
I
you're so great with
did
voice work.
for like
Yeah?
a second. I mean, I think I was smart enough to know this is not your destiny. I was just so blown away at like you'd watch her, right? You'd have no
Yeah.
idea. It really is a very specific talent and a unique gift, right? So I did try. That's funny that you ask. But I quickly knew, nah, it's not gonna happen for you. But I still had fun with the puppets and made little voices
Right.
with them. You could see my lips moving.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely tried as well when I was younger. I did have a ventriloquist dummy and I struggled as well.
It's tough. Like, I don't even know how you figure out you can do that unless you are already, interested in the craft but yeah, it's amazing. I'll never get bored of seeing a ventriloquist, like it
Of
just
course,
always
yeah.
like puts me in my happy childlike space and I just gets like, wow. So yeah, but it's not for everybody. Not everybody
I
can do it.
it's not for me. I can tell you
But
that
good for
much.
you for trying and just
Of
having
course,
fun
yeah.
with it. Why not?
So a little bit later, so you're doing a lot of voice work. I mean, how did the voice work start?
Okay, again, an accident. I was in between. Oh, I know what happened. So I landed an agent, and it was between me going back. I think it was around after the first season. Again, it might not be precisely these dates and times, but I'm only almost positive I was coming back from Sherry, and my agency had just opened up a voice department. So back then, voice departments were separate. And then you had your voice acting agent, you had your on-camera agent, and then maybe you had your modeling or musical theater, whatever agent. Things have changed a bit, but at that time in the 90s, my agency, they were coming together. And all my agent said to me is, would you like to try voice work? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm 11. Okay. I
As
guess,
long as you can read, you're
you know,
good. Yeah.
I can read. But
Hmm.
I loved cartoons ever since I was a little kid, but I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I had my own voice. So I was very new and I was able to use my own voice and I quickly, I was really lucky. I quickly landed little roles on Babar, Magic School Bus, and this. And
Hmm.
then I finally landed Franklin the Turtle. I was the skunk.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. And it was through that I was really made aware that this is an actual art form and I have so much to learn. But I was just it does feel different than being on camera, and it's you're using different parts of your body. You're also trying to create different voices and characters. I just fell in love with it. And yeah, but that was like my big first gig, Franklin, and I did a little Little Bear, a bit of Little Bear, so it was just
Right.
it was such a cool time. Yeah, I'm really blessed for that role.
Now you have so much experience doing voice work, and you also are, as opposed to when you were much younger and just starting out, when you were just using your own voice, now you're more versatile. I was watching Mermicorno, your new show on HBO Max. Like I was telling you before, I was watching it with my daughters. They both loved it, thought it was a lot of fun. One of the things I noticed, I was very shocked when I heard your character Gwen start to speak because it didn't sound like you at all.
Yeah.
And I was curious when you are so the character Gwen is more of a troublemaker, prankster type, and she uses a very like low grating type of voice.
Yes.
When you are given a new character to voice, how do you approach choosing what their voice is going to be like?
So that's a really good question. And sometimes you get a lot of direction. So when you go for an audition, it's you either get tons of information on the character and on the show and what they're looking for, and sometimes you're literally left in the dark and it's just a little paragraph of what the show's about and the personality, the description of the character, and then you're on your own to imagine what that would sound like. While other times they will give you even references from movies. With Gwen, the thing that really struck out was, cold, rebellious, kind of
Yeah.
not, she has some trauma and she has a guard up and she can be very defensive and but there's like some heart to her, right? And it's funny, I was actually told not to audition for Gwen because
Really? You
yeah,
were doing another character at that time?
yeah, so for Mermy Corno, it was such a process. We literally went in, I auditioned for like five or six different characters. I sent it back. We kind of like you for this character, but can you audition for this character? And that went on for about 4 months until because they also have to say, well, how does a Nick's voice sound with the other actors' voices we're thinking of, right? So,
Yeah.
even though we might think a Nick is great for this role, she might sound too much like this other character, this other girl that we want to get for this character. So it's not only who's the best quote unquote for the part, it's how do all the voices sound together at once on the screen. But yeah, I saw the description of Gwen and I was kind of nudged to like, nah, you should focus on this character instead. And I'm like, no, I am Gwen. I'm gonna do it. And so it's just about exploring your voice. I knew that she was a little tougher, so I want to give her some rasp and
Yeah.
just bring her down here. And so, yeah, and that's what I did. And I ended up getting a recall. And when I got cast as Mother Pearl, I'm like,
Hmm.
are you sure? Um, but now that I see, because they didn't even have imagery of like what she would look like, but they'd have little things like, kind of a personality of like Mora from Schitt's Creek,
Oh yeah.
but she's like 16 or 17 years old. It's like that what? Like and you have to literally put this stuff together and come up with something. And sometimes you are so off the mark, but they'll hear a little something in that audition enough to get you back and they'll give you more direction. But a lot of the times you're on your own to kind of like just put that voice together. Yeah, so it's part of it, that's part of the magic of it too. yeah, I kind of, I'm down for direction and stuff, but I also love to have that creative freedom to play with my voice and see how I can best support that character through my own imagination.
That's so awesome. Yeah, and you have so much experience now that I'm assuming, or at least I hope, that those in charge of developing the shows and in charge of choosing what voice is going to work. I mean, they trust your instincts to some degree as well.
Thank you for saying that. I think it's not even about the experience because like we have always seen new faces in the industry and they're great as well. I think it's a matter of like can they can sense, okay, she can same as when I was a kid. Okay, she can take direction, she can kind of change things on a whim if we need her to. She understands comedic timing. And so it's not just always the voice, it's how you take like I said, does she meet kind of the vibe of the show and what we will need from her, right? So, yeah, it comes,
So it's more about there being a good fit, it
yeah.
sounds like.
And so, there were a couple girls on this show that are newer to the industry, and you would never ever know because they're just good at what they do, right? So it's thank you for saying that because I've been in this game for I think like over 30 something years, but at the same time like there are some really new voice actors that kind of come out of nowhere and they're just as wonderful and funny and take direction. So yeah, yeah, I don't know how to end that thought, but there you go.
I'd like to talk a little bit more about your live action roles around this earlier period. You were briefly, I think you had a small part in It Takes Two.
Oh my God.
Part of the reason I wanted to bring it up is because that movie has quite a few stars in it that I would be very starstruck if I had met them. Kirstie Alley, Steve Guttenberg, and of course the Olsen twins. Did you get to meet all of these people, or you were there for just a couple scenes, so you didn't get to meet them? How did that all play out?
Okay, so growing up, my sister and I, we are so weird. We always had a little crush on Steve Guttenberg because, like, we used to watch. And again, I don't even know if you know these movies, but like Three Men and a Baby.
Three Men and a Baby. I'm obsessed with Three Men and a Baby. We had it on VHS. I watched it constantly. I know exactly. Yes, I. He's so funny in that. He's a cartoonist. Yes. I'm sorry. Go
Yes!
on. Just wanted to throw that
No,
out there. I love that
it's
movie.
such a good movie. And then we watched Three Men and a Little Lady. So like
Right? Hmm.
like my sister and always because I think he was a cartoonist. And he was so nice in the movies. We always had a little crush on Steve, and he's the only one I did not get to meet.
Oh no.
Um, I was so bummed. I know. But I did meet Kirstie Alley, and she was nice enough to take a picture with me, and I still have that picture.
Well, that's
Um,
nice.
so that was nice. And I did work with both of the Olsen twins, and it was kind of funny. We had all the Canadian kid actors, and we're like filled because one of the scenes that takes place in like a dirty, beat up garage, right? Where cars and stuff everywhere. And so we were wearing these blue little uniforms and there's just dirt everywhere. We weren't given masks or anything, and the Olsen twins come up with like a little like wrap around on their shoulders and masks and stuff. Um and again, like I have nothing bad to say about them. It's just they weren't rude or anything. I tried to talk to one of them for a few moments and she was nice enough to give me like a one word or two word answer. But it was just different. Like they had like an entourage around them all the time and people
I
talking
see. Yeah.
to them. So we kind of felt bad for them to be honest and not like pity. It's different, right? Just they were huge stars, right? So um, they were still really nice to like, but they didn't really talk to us. The Canadian kids kind of just kept to ourselves and we hung out and got dirty and had fun. And they just were, like I said, like eight people around them at all times. So, yeah, I just remember saying like, I love Full House and I grew up watching you. And I think they just said, oh, thank you. And that was pretty much it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, maybe they were also mentally exhausted.
Oh
They
yeah,
have a
yeah.
lot going on.
Yeah, like one had a like again, like I'm not gonna put this on Twitter or anything, but one had a little bit of a tantrum and walked off set. And
Hmm.
we couldn't feel bad for her. Like we couldn't feel like there was no way of saying what B. Like you felt kind of bad. Like I would walk off set too. Like I think they just got like overwhelmed and
Yeah,
um, they have the really great saying now as adults, like it was the worst of times, but it was also something we would never trade for the world. And I
yeah,
yeah, and I can see that and I can on a very small level um relate to that. Because it is hard, but you wouldn't want to trade it. So yeah, I'm just so happy with how they've um, kind of come out on the other side and they're successful in their own way now and they seem to have a lot more control over their own lives.
yeah,
And I'm really glad they're out of the industry. Their sister in all the like
yeah. Elizabeth Olsen. Hmm.
yes, exceptional. And you can tell she's meant to be in that industry. I don't know how much the twins really wanted to do it, but they had something
Yeah.
great going and they were, good doing it. So, but it was really cool. Either way, it was my first kind of like moment where I was like, oh my God, they're celebrities. So that alone was very cool. That was very cool.
Yeah, that must have been so exciting. And then in 1995, you appeared in the Goosebumps episode, Return of the Mummy.
Yeah.
Um, it's such a so I guess this was actually still in the beginning, the early days of the series. The first episode premiered, I think, a few months before Return of the Mummy, before your episode.
Okay.
So it was still pretty early, but it was a very popular show nonetheless. How did you come to be involved in this series? Did you do an audition for this as well?
Yeah, I auditioned and got the role and luckily I worked my co-star was someone I knew very well because Danny DeSanto worked on Dead Dragon as well, if you can believe it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, you got
I
yeah.
know he's worked with you on like a bunch of projects later as a voice actor,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so so cool to have him in my corner. And we had a ball working on that show, but that's an agent. Sorry, I got an auditioned for it, got the part, and when I found out Danny was my co-star, I was thrilled. And we just had a really great time doing it. And I remember when the actual mummy came out, my dad was on set with me that day, and he was like, "Okay, I'm just letting you know this is really the makeup is done really, really well, and I don't want you to be scared." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Bring it on." And the guy who played the mummy, he was so sweet to me. Yeah, it was just amazing.
Awesome. That's so cool. So the story Return of the Mummy, it centers on a team of archaeologists looking for the tomb of Prince Koru, this mummy. And you play Sari. So I wanted to say I loved your character in this episode. She's very witty. She's this feisty young Egyptologist. She's always very quick with a comeback, especially with her cousin, Daniel DeSanto's character, Gabe.
Yeah.
Was it fun to play this character? Do you feel like this is just, were you playing like a version of yourself, how you usually are?
I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't go into method acting or anything like that. It was really just about being, getting the comedy right. Um, and because Danny and I knew each other so well already, there was already kind of, I don't know if you can see it on screen, but they're this brother sister kind of
Absolutely.
relationship
Yeah.
already. So, it it wasn't anything that I mean, as long as my job was to learn the lines and be prepared. So it wasn't really a big acting challenge per se. I just allowed myself to have fun with it. And I would ask like questions on set about certain things and wanted to make sure some of the words I said were, I said it properly. Funny story, we had one scene, Danny and I, where we had to like, I don't even know how to describe this, but in the end, like I had to fall on top of him. And I
Right.
kept, and we kept cutting the scene because I wasn't falling on him well enough, and I was so scared to hurt him. And finally, he's like, "Fall on me, I'm fine," and I did, and he ran off set, holding his stomach,
Oh.
and he's like, "It's okay, we got the take." We got it. So it was just like I said, just about having fun and really getting to see a different side of movie making or TV making.
Absolutely. What would you say are some of your most vivid memories working on this episode, aside from the one you just described?
I think just being part of a horror franchise and a book franchise was like I was a fan of the Goosebumps books. So like when I
Oh,
got the
cool.
part, I was ecstatic. Um I didn't care what I played. I could have played a fly in the back of the wall. Like I was just wanted to be part of the show. Um But I think that one of the things that I'd never seen sets like that. Like the sets were really well done, especially to mimic, Egypt, and we're in a studio in Toronto, right? I think one of the best memories was just being able to like actually ask questions and learn a bit. I mean, I forgot everything, but about what the show is about, and meeting different actors and learning, through the guy who played the mummy, that you can actually do that for a living and playing roles where you're, like miming and using your body as acting. So it's just like it opened my eye to totally bigger kind of being part of something that was much bigger, on because like everything I was doing up until that point was mostly children's entertainment, and this was still
Yeah.
children's, but I'd never seen sets like that, makeup like that, and the different types of actors we needed, and learning about fun facts about Egypt and what these characters were doing. So it was just a lot of fun. Yeah.
Definitely when I was rewatching this, one of the things that made an impression on me were the sets. So it's interesting to hear that you actually being on set, you had the same reaction to them, perhaps. But yeah, there were cool statues and lanterns, and of course mummies and skeletons and pyrotechnics. And at one point, there's even a secret passageway, a wall that swivels
Yes,
around, and
the secret passageway was so cool. I think that's
yeah,
where I had to fall off
right.
Danny. That's what I mean. It was so cool. Like, and I even remember having lunch a couple times and just being a loner and just sitting and being like on set and just thinking, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, what is going on? I was just so enamored by everything. So yeah, that's so cool that that you kind of fell in love with that as well.
Absolutely. And in the episode as well, there were some cockroaches and tarantulas. And I mean, did anything scare you at all when you were on set?
Oh my God, you're bringing me back. You're right. I was petrified of that tarantula, but I remember the other actors being fascinated by it. But yeah, I just remember being so freaked out about that.
Did this kindle any interest in archaeology or Egyptology or anything like that? Or was it just while you were on set?
Yeah, no, I was well aware that like I didn't have the brain chops to like get through education in that regard, but it was still fascinating. Like I wouldn't be surprised if I went home and tried to learn more about it, and then till I moved on to a different subject matter. But yeah, it was very cool though. Yeah. I don't know how much I pursued it afterwards, but it definitely piqued my interest for a little bit.
Awesome. That's so cool. So I see a few years later, it's in 1997 that Night of the Living Dummy 3 comes out. This is widely regarded as one of the best episodes in the series, and you play Slappy. Even though they had a ventriloquist dummy on set, there were these extended sequences where Slappy was played by a person in a costume, and you were that person. How did you get cast as Slappy?
Okay, I'm gonna try to remember the best I can. I went in for an audition, and I don't, I can't remember what they got me to do, but something tells me they just asked me to just do some miming, or maybe I can't remember what I'm not gonna lie to you. All I do remember is I got the part and I went into clowning and miming lessons right away.
Really? You went into clowning lessons?
Yeah, like we're not talking about like going to school but like they brought in somebody to work with one on one for like a
Oh,
week.
wow.
Yeah. Um, So that's what I mean. That was so cool. So I was learning miming. I was learning how to have more control over my body, different types of walking, um, just the way you're moving your body for different scenes. And I don't really think it showed everything I learned in those scenes in Goosebumps, but I learned a lot. And then they had to make my mask, and that like took a day because they had to pour the I couldn't move my head for like an hour and a half. I could barely breathe in there. And I look back, I'm like, how did you do that? But I so once I went through my training for my physical acting lessons, miming, movement, and then I went through the process of getting the mask made, and I put on that tuxedo. I really did feel like, I don't know if you want to call it a puppet, a muppet, a dummy, but I really did not, I no longer felt like a human. I really felt like a doll, and it, I don't know how to explain it. It really kind of centered what my role was on the show, what I needed to do, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. It was the best.
Oh, that's so cool. And I'm so happy to hear that. The
Oh.
um the mask itself, so you're saying that they had to do a mold, you
Hmm.
said?
That's what it was, a mold. And so I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know what was in store for me. And I get there with my mom. And they're just like, okay, you just need to lie down. We're just gonna like pour all this stuff on your face. You cannot move, and you might have trouble breathing. Some people experience claustrophobia, so we're just gonna hold your hand.
Oh
And
my.
just like, but I was like, do it. I'm ready. Let's do this. And after about half an hour, I will admit I got a little, because you can't hear either, right?
Oh wow. Yeah.
They put stuff in your ear.
It's like sensory deprivation.
That's what it was. So you can't see, you can't hear, and you can't breathe very well. Albeit it's only for a couple hours, but
Oh, that seems very long. Yeah.
well, I think too when you're like 11 or 12 or whatever, right? Or whatever age I was at that time. You're still a kid, right? But kids are so like we're so what's the word? Like
Resilient?
yeah, thank you. We're so resilient. Like we're just like bring it on. So I did, but like I was saying, once I put all of that together, I just felt like I was ready in this. I really wish I should have kept that freaking mask, but I wasn't able to.
Oh, yeah. A lot of the Goosebumps props and everything were kept by Ron Stefanik.
Oh,
And so I think that it would have been unlikely, I guess, that they would have just given them away,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah, yeah.
So what did it feel like to wear the mask? I know you said it really helped you build this fantasy that you are a ventriloquist dummy, but did you have like good visibility? I mean, you had to be running around with this mask on, sometimes on a very dark set. Could you breathe out of it very easily? I mean, what did it feel like?
So I don't really remember. I remember breathing in, and it just kind of smelled and tasted like silicone or whatever they made in the mask.
Latex, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember that being like not so great, but again, it was more of a minor discomfort. It wasn't anything, to write home about. Um, we couldn't see very well. So that was a wee challenging, and I actually have a little bit of a funny story. I got punched in the face.
Oh,
Guy who
wow.
played
Toward the end.
Mhm. By the guy who played Rocky, I think it was his name.
Yes.
And he was such a what a great human. And he was this muscly, strong, like you could tell he worked out a lot. And he
Right. Is this
couldn't,
Jordan Prentice, I believe?
yeah, okay, I forgot his name. And he couldn't see very well too because he was wearing a mask. So we had this one fighting scene and it was choreographed. We went through it multiple times without our mask, and then we put on our mask to do it, and he accidentally punched me in the face and my nose started bleeding.
Oh no.
He was so remorseful, and here I am. I'm celebrating. Oh my God, I'd never had a nosebleed before, so I thought it was so cool. And it wasn't that bad. Like it bled for like a minute, but I just thought it was so cool. So I was like, oh my God, don't. He was so apologetic. But
It's
we
like a
got
rite of passage, you know?
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So once like I don't know what happened, we cleaned me up and then we redid the scene and it was fine, But yeah, seeing was a bit of a challenge and you're right. I forgot how a lot of those scenes, so many of the lights were off. So yeah, it might have been challenging, but we got through it. But yeah, it was like a whole new way of acting. It was just really fascinating.
I was going to ask you specifically about that fighting scene. I thought perhaps they would have used a stunt double or some kind of stunt person, but no, they actually had you like throwing punches, taking punches, and all of that. I mean, they weren't supposed to land, but
Yeah, like it was super well choreographed. And like I said, we went through it multiple times. I think it just, the first time around with the mask, it was a little accident, but we were able to get through it. And it was, I don't know, I just remember having a blast and having fun. And then we take a cut. I don't even know if we were allowed to take off our masks, but Jordan and I would always check in, like, are you okay? Are you okay? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, we're good.
that's so
So
nice. Yeah.
no, like really nice, really nice. And I didn't really, I think, have any awareness of the dangers that could happen, even though they were minor. Um, I just wanted to have some fun, right? So I didn't really understand everything that was going on. But we got through it and we had a blast. And I was just always so taken aback by how kind he was, about working with me in these conditions. And yeah, it was really sweet. Everybody was so nice.
When you are playing Slappy and Slappy is talking, the mouth moves on the mask. Did you have control over that, or was it radio controlled or something?
I don't want to lie to you. I don't fully remember. I think that when they had close-ups of the dummy talking, that was actually a dummy, like a marionette. However, if it was a wide shot and I was there, then yeah, it would have been me. It would have been me. And I don't know if I got training on how to speak with it. If anything, that I would have had to exaggerate my mouth movement.
Right.
But again, even though I was saying lines, they were dubbed over with the slappy voice, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So Cal Dodd is the one who's credited with bringing or doing the Slappy voice in the episode,
Okay.
but that was after the fact, after filming. So do you remember if you were speaking lines?
Yeah, so I would just say my lines. I would just
Oh,
say
that's
my lines,
cool.
and they would just do the dubbing in post-production.
Oh, that's so fun. So you were basically voicing Slappy, at least while filming.
Yeah, like I don't know if I went, like, I probably just said the line. But like I won't take credit as much as I want to take credit for the close-ups because I do think that that was actually the doll, like the marionette or whatever. Yeah.
So when I was a kid and watching this episode, I wasn't able to tell the difference when they shifted between an actual dummy and you in costume. But now as an adult, it is very very obvious in a very fun, beautiful way. But yeah, you are in it quite a bit as Slappy.
I remember being in a lot of scenes, and we even had night shoots, which was a very new world to me. So imagine being like 11 years old, 12 years old, whatever age I was, and I got to work at like 7 p.m.
Yeah,
I didn't leave until 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock the next morning, right? So night shifts were really new to me, and we wouldn't get on set. As you know, this industry is all about hurry up and wait. And so
yeah.
I'd get into my costume, I'd do what I'd have to do, and then we'd start shooting at like 3 a.m., right? Or 2 a.m. So that was new. I didn't handle it very well, and I wasn't complaining or anything, but I just remember thinking I don't know how actors do this for long periods of time. Yeah, night shooting is it's tough, on everyone, the crew and everyone. It just messes up with your sleep cycle and everything. But for a night or two, it was great. I thought it was pretty cool.
I was talking to Amos Crawley, who, Canadian actor. I'm sure you know who he is. He's going to be
I
at some of the events.
know.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
going to be flying together.
But he was telling me that everybody from that generation, if you were a child actor, your circadian rhythms are all messed up because there were a lot of night shoots.
There you go. I did more night shoots as I got older, but it's true. Like you think about it, your day is so weird. Like you get to work or whatever, it's 6 or 7, you still got schoolwork to do. So you're doing your school with a tutor, in between shots. Then you got to eat, and then you're working on your lines, and then you try to go to maybe I would skip school the next day and go the day after, but I'm still exhausted, and then I might have a night shoot that night. So after school, I might take a nap, and then so
Oh yeah.
go to work, right? So yeah, and even when you're working day shifts. Like I remember when I was doing a show for YTV Squawk Box, like my schedule, I was up at 5 a.m. every day and I didn't get home until maybe 8.
Oh
And
wow.
yes, so because a lot of the kids, we lived all across Toronto, so there was one van to pick up all the kids, right? So depending on where you lived, you had an earlier pickup time.
I want to say that I was rewatching the episode recently. You bring such a fun like physicality to Slappy. Like he never quite walks. He more of like does a prancing, tottering type of walk. There's a lot of hand waving when you're talking. I think you were very good at giving Slappy this impish, mischievous quality just through your movements alone. I know that you said that you had all this training beforehand, but what kind of direction were you given for Slappy's movements on set?
Well, I would say that 90% of it was directed. So I knew, before a scene happens, we would what's the expression? We would do like a kind of like a run through, right? So I was always told, okay, after this line, you're going to point this way, wave during this. I wouldn't be surprised if a little bit was improvised on my end, but at the same time, I was so young and I was doing something so new. I didn't necessarily trust my instincts at that point, so I really relied on direction. So I'm going to thank you so much for your kind words, but I had a lot of help. So
Well, even so, I mean, you're the one who was actually doing it all, and you deserve all this praise for that.
you're so
Yeah,
kind. But
you should
yeah,
take the compliment. Take the compliment.
I will. Thank you. But yeah, I remember we had one scene where I was supposed to be like hovering over Hayden. And I'm like, I don't even know where his head is. Like, what's going on? So they'd be like, look down a bit, look down a bit. Okay, now bring your head down. Pretend you're sucking the life out of him. I'm like, okay. And they're like, okay, like pretend you're breathing in through the mask. And I'm like, and then, okay, exaggerate that movement. So I'd bring in my chest more, roll my neck more. So it really was about exaggerating every little hand movement or handshake or whatever it was, but I was given direction, absolutely. And like I said, I think my training helped me so much. So thank you. Yeah.
Of course. There's a scene where you're sitting on the dining room table. This isn't the scene that you were just talking about where you are sucking the life out of
Whatever. Yeah.
Zane's body and you're turning him into a dummy. But there's another scene where you're sitting on the dining room table, arms crossed, legs crossed. Hayden Christensen is taunting you because he doesn't think that you're alive,
Yeah.
and he's begging you to kick him. Slappy does eventually end up kicking him. I was just curious, did you actually have to kick him for that?
Yeah, I remember that scene. I think I now I don't know with which shot they ended up going with, but I do remember having to kick him. And I wouldn't be surprised if we did many takes of that because didn't want to hurt the kid. Um, so yeah, I probably did do it. And at the end of the day, they would choose which if they actually went. But I'm pretty sure they went with my take for that, my leg, because I remember that scene very well.
Were
So
you just pretending to kick him, or did you actually have to like touch him a little bit? Do you remember?
no, I probably did have to touch him, and the reason we did so many takes is the same reason with Danny. I was so scared to hurt him, but I think we did get the take, and I was like, "Are you okay?" And he was like, "It was fine. Like, don't worry." Yeah, it was always about like again, I was so new to this physical acting. I didn't want to hurt anybody, but at the same time, I had to kick the kids. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
made it work, and it was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Yeah, okay, let's move on. We got it, right?"
And I love it toward the end. There's a little part where you pretend to die and you like hold your neck and fall to the floor. I mean, that must have been so much fun. I mean, we always pretend to like die on the playground or whatever, and here you get to do it in a show.
Yeah, and I can just hear them yelling, "Okay, die even more, like exaggerate your dying," So yeah, no, that was fun. Like I said, I learned so much from that episode, and I was introduced to a whole new form of acting. Um, it was great. It was so great.
There was also a frog on set. Did you get to play with the frog at all?
I forgot about the frog. Don't think so because I love frogs, so I don't think I did. Aw.
It's possible maybe you weren't like actually there presently, like when they were filming the parts with the frog, because I think the frog came out of like the ventriloquist dummy's mouth, and
Okay.
then you were there in the next shot.
Yeah, and as you know, and I'm sure your listeners know it, we usually never film anything in order, right? So it depends on what studio we have that day. It depends on so many different things. So, things and if I'm not in the scene, I could have been in my trailer and they did the frog thing and I didn't even know what was going on, right? So, but I wish I would have met the frog, but I don't think I did.
So you got to work with a lot of really cool people on this episode. Martin Doyle, Belinda Metz. So Belinda Metz had a music career before this. Did you get to kind of hang out and talk to the other cast members between shots?
Yeah, I remember talking to Martin a lot. I can't remember about the mom. Um, I kind of just I stuck with the kids a lot.
That makes more sense, of course.
You know what I mean? Like the grown-ups were always so nice to us, but I just remember spending a lot of time in my trailer with Blair and the other girl who played the oldest daughter.
Erica Fairfield, I think.
Yeah, sorry, thank you. And Hayden, and we would just hang out in the trailer and talk, and hang out and be kids. So that was really nice to have kind of our own little space to talk about kid things, independent from the industry we were working in. So, but like I said, everyone I worked on any Goosebumps episode, the crew and the cast were just like the nicest people.
Hayden Christensen played Zane in this episode, and of course, we all know him now as Anakin Skywalker from all the Star Wars movies and TV shows. In this episode, he's playing this character who's very dorky. He's the cousin of the two leads. He gets easily scared. So you had a chance to hang out with him. I mean, what was your impression of him? Did you sense that he was going to go on to these bigger and better things at the time?
It's one thing about being a kid actor. You have no sense of like, and it's like it's weird. You don't talk about things like, do you think you're gonna do this forever? You're so present and you're living in the moment. And I think you're also kind of like, I can't believe this is my life. Almost went to the high school Hayden went to. So if anything, we were talking about like high schools and if he liked his school, but we weren't talking about like acting. And I have met the occasional actress with their mom being like, I'm going to be a star and stuff like that. And sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But I had a manager with Ryan Gosling, like I worked with Ryan on a couple things. Again, like I always remember telling my parents and my friends, like, that guy's going to be a star.
Oh, so you knew of him.
I knew with him immediately. And I
Oh,
remember
wow.
watching like every one of his shows get canceled. And I remember being like, this kid needs a break because he is unbelievable. And then he got this independent movie and then his career blew up. So we never know. And there's a lot of kid actors where people are like, how the heck did that kid get cast? They're a terrible actor. And then they go on to become superstars. So we never know. And at that time, again, I didn't really know if I wanted to be an actor full time. I was just enjoying life and worrying about like what high school am I going to go to? I know I need to change schools and how are my grades being affected. So you never, like I said, any one of us could have become, I guess, stars in some sense. But you don't know. I think a bunch of us at that time were just happy to be out of school and just playing and having fun. But Hayden was really sweet to me. I was the quieter one on the set, and I'd always kind of be in a corner in my little bubble, and he'd always be like, "Come on, talk to us. Like, what are you writing? Are you
Oh, that's
writing?" And I'd be
nice.
like, "I'm writing music." He's like, "You want to sing it for me?" So he was so sweet. He was such a sweet boy. So I'm really happy for him to see. And I know that at the time too, when he was in talks to play Star Wars, so were three of my other friends. So it was like down
Oh,
to
wow.
Hayden and then three other people, guys I knew, and then an American guy I didn't know, and Hayden got it. So this industry is really, you never know, you never know what's going to happen. So yeah.
Yeah. And Blair Slater. So, was this your first time working with him?
No, okay. Yeah, no. I know. So yes, it was my first time playing acting with Blair, and we got on really well, but we ended up doing a series shortly after. Um,
Adventures of Shirley Holmes?
yeah, and
Yep,
he
yep.
played Bartholomew, and my character and Bart were always, you know, picking on each other. But yeah, like there's another kid who could have gone on to be a really great actor, and he chose to walk away from the industry. He's so smart for doing that when he did it. Got to school and now has this amazing family and job in tourism. So you never know. But yeah, Blair and I became very close because we had worked together on Goosebumps and when you're working on a show for 4 or 5 months, all the parents, get to know each other super well. All the kids do. So we're like this tight-knit little family living in a hotel for 4 months. So, yeah.
Yeah, Adventures of Shirley Holmes. I do want to talk about this a little bit. Your character in this one is also very fun. You play Alicia. She's one of the girls at the school. Um, there's this episode that I really like you in called The Case of the Dead Debutante.
Oh, is that the one with the Irish accent?
That's the one with the Irish or Scottish or Irish. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I wrote down Scottish here.
It was supposed to be Irish, but it's okay.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yes,
No,
so
it's
I'll
fine.
edit that. The Irish accent, yes. Um, and you get possessed by the spirit of this ghost, Megan. And I love this because your character shifts a little bit. You get to play somebody who's a little bit more mature. And it's funny because your outfit changes. You wear these darker colors. I think you're wearing a choker as well.
Mm.
And you got the dark eyeliner on. In the episode, you since you're possessed by this other spirit, you really want to go dancing, but you're not able to because the teacher, Mr. Howie, played by Colin Fox, uh, somehow prevents you from doing that, and you want to get back at him. So you decide you're going to kill him. But what's funny about the way you decide to go about murdering Mr. Howie is you're both in the same building, but Mr. Howie's on the first floor, you're on the second floor, and you call out Mr. Howie's name. He pokes his head out the window. You're on the second floor, hanging out the window as well, and you're holding a lava lamp, which is like perfectly 90s. And your plan is to drop the lava lamp on his head. And of course, it doesn't end up happening. He gets pulled back into the window at the last second. But I love your character in this episode. Do you have any like memories of this episode in particular?
I do. And this was my favorite episode. Um, because it was like my character's big episode. And I got to kind of like step out of the Alicia character, which I loved. And it was so much fun to play, but I just I felt like I had a really big responsibility um, to kind of break out from what I knew about acting and to step into something that was really something new and big. And I worked with a what is it called there? A accent coach.
Oh, cool.
So because the character was Irish, and I did my very best, but I just remember I just loved speaking like that, with an accent. And I trained really, really hard for it. I remember I'd have her voice on a recorder and I would just re-listen and say my lines. So, and also, playing a ghost, I did this on my own because I didn't have an acting coach on set, but I really felt like it was important for me to kind of break out of the Alicia character completely and really offer something where the viewer be able to see, oh, okay, she is encompassing this older ghost, And because chill acting for kids entertainment is so different, it's very exaggerated. And adult acting or whatever you want to call it is not. It's more conversational, a little more theatrical. So I really wanted to make sure I did that, and I did the best I could with what I knew. I just put a lot of focus on the accent. So, and I remembered that huge monologue I say at the end about dying, and we literally there was like 200 people on set or 100 and something people on set, and a huge microphone. And I just had a piece of paper in front of me and I had to read it in front of everybody. And then they'd say, cut, do it again. So it wasn't even something I could do privately in a booth and kind of allow myself to make mistakes or take another take of like one word that I misspelt. Yeah, it was just basically do the whole thing. And
Yeah,
we'll,
sounds a little nerve-wracking. Yeah.
I was nervous. I was so nervous. And I did have a couple people on set say, my grandmother's Irish or whatever it may be. And, you sounded really good, kid. So I really appreciated that. And I was also trying to give it's a kid show, Nick. Like, don't be too hard on yourself. You can get through this. But it was my first time being given the responsibility of of using an accent, and I really wanted to do them proud. So I did my best, but it was so much fun. I remember that scene and the dropping of the lava lamp, and we rented out this school, and I remember it was like 4 in the morning, and I literally was holding that lava, and like Colin was below me, and they'd say action, and I don't know if I actually dropped it. I must have. Um,
I think
but
so.
yeah, it was just, and then I wrote, okay, duck Colin or whatever, and he put his head back in. But yeah, it was different. It was so good. And everybody's like down below, and you can see the whole crew down on the grass, and you're like way up high. But yeah, it was so cool. It was so much fun.
So, this was so even though Colin Fox was on Goosebumps, you didn't work with him there. He was in a different episode. But what was your experience working with Colin Fox? I mean, he recently passed away. Do you have any special memories of your time working with him?
I just remember him being a gentle, kind man. He was always so good to us kids. He never made us feel like we were lesser than or we were younglings. He had such a like a father energy, like a lot of the grown-ups do. So I never really understood while working with him how accomplished he was in the industry and how much he had done. I didn't know any of that. I just knew him as Colin, like a really nice guy to work with and a nice person to be in the same room with, right? So I only got to really admire him afterwards. Um, but yeah, he was always a sweet, sweet, sweet man.
That's so nice to hear.
Yeah, I was really sad. I think you told me he passed away, and I looked it
Yeah.
up, and I sent Blair a message on Facebook, um, because he left a mark on all of us.
Yeah, I mean, and the viewers as well. I mean, I didn't know him personally, obviously, but he was in so many things that even young American audiences appreciated. One movie he was in, and nobody seems to remember it unless you're from a very specific generation. But My Pet Monster, it was this. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so he was playing a some like evil mastermind who wanted to make people into monsters. And I remember when I saw that, I was very young. A few years later, The Haunted Mask comes out and he's playing the shopkeeper. And I remember thinking like, oh, that's the guy from My Pet Monster.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. So I have very special memories of seeing him on screen, I guess.
Oh, I'm so glad because we get a lot of American productions that come here too, right? So one minute we could be working on something that's very Canadian, small town, Ontario, whatever, and then we'll get an
Mhm.
American production that comes in. So I still can't believe how many Americans know shows from YTV and like let alone Goosebumps. So like everything's coming back, and the reception I've been getting from fans about Goosebumps alone is just remarkable. So the fact that you got to see him in different little things, I love that. And I love that you fell in love or you felt like a kinship with him right away, that little the Pet Monster movie and got to see him
Yeah.
mask. That's so nice. Do you know if My Pet Monster was American or was that Canadian? Do you know?
I think it was American, but I was so young. I don't know. It was based on these big like stuffed animals that
Yep.
were popular in the 80s. And I actually have one now. They're pretty rare, hard to find, but I got one on eBay, and it just, yeah, it just reminds me of that movie, of him, and it's just one of those special little treats from nostalgic treats from childhood that I've always held on to.
Oh, I love it. Well, Colin was and is definitely a Canadian treasure for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Adventures of Shirley Holmes, do you have any other favorite moments of working on the show? There was another scene which I mean, maybe I shouldn't be laughing, but you get like electrocuted.
Oh,
Yeah, there's like a microphone, and it like shocks you or something, and it seemed like you were always somehow there was always some like injury or something happening to you in the
oh,
show.
probably. Yeah, yeah. My character was a bit of a hot mess, but that's funny. I remember. I don't. I kind of remember getting electrocuted. I remember another scene where there's like we were making a horror movie, and I had to run down an alleyway and scream. Um, There were lots of really fun moments on that show. I think the biggest thing I took away from it was more from an industry perspective of, like I said, the show was filmed in Winnipeg, so over the summer, so we didn't have to go to school. We would live there all summer, right? So for like
Hmm.
3 or 4 months and then get back to go to school in the fall or whatever it was. So, um, yeah, I think just being in one place, living out of a hotel for that long, not seeing your family, not going to school, that was a little tough. Um, and also learning about money and like, okay, I've always been taught to like make my own meals and stuff like that. So also seeing like what other people are doing. Like that was my first sense of like, oh, I'm getting paid for this. And like not that my parents ever tried to hide that from me. I was just getting older and realizing, oh, okay. I am getting paid for this and this is how much and that's why so and so goes and does this or bought this or whatever. So it was more of me kind of growing up in the becoming a little more knowledgeable of like how life can work outside of the industry. And just being with a group of people you see every day. And then also having to say goodbye to them for a year and not knowing if the show's going to be renewed, if you're not going to see them
Yeah.
ever again. That was always harder for me. That was always hard on me mentally, like just leaving afterwards, right? We try to keep in touch, but so yeah, it was the first time really where I was becoming more and more aware of, oh, this is an industry. I don't know how to,
Right.
right? So as much fun as I had with the cast and crew, and I would kind of be known as the girl. Like I would always also hang out with a lot of the extras. So we kept the same extras for 3 seasons. So we all started when we were like 13 or whatever, and by the end of it, we were like 16 or whatever, and then we'd have to get a new cast of extras. So that was even hard on me because all the extras and I became very.
Oh, yeah.
I'd even
Yeah.
sneak some of them into my trailer and give them some of the buffet we were having because they would.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Yeah.
Ah, thank you. But we became friends, right? So yeah, and again, like fourth season comes around and all of us are like, hey, we're the extras we know. And they're like, oh, well, they got too old. We had to recast. And
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna see them again. Like, so yeah, it was a bit tough from that standpoint for sure. Yeah. But again, great group of actors. Some of them I think have continued. Speaking of archaeology, I think one of the actresses ended up going into archaeology.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, Sarah Easer. Don't quote me on that. I don't know, but everyone seems to have gone like some have stayed in the industry, some have not, right? So, because it is a difficult industry, period, right? So it's also nice to be able to say I did it as a kid and I had a really great time and I learned a lot, but now I'm doing this. Um,
Right.
but yeah, some of us have continued to work in the industry.
So, a little later, you're in this movie, Charlie Bartlett. One of the reasons I wanted to bring this up is that you are working with some noteworthy people, Robert Downey Jr. Were you able to meet Robert Downey Jr. and talk to him at all?
I was. And not only that, I got to work with the amazing Anton. What's his
Yeah.
last name?
Anton Yelkin.
Yes. Um, so again, that was quite an interesting audition process. We had to do like a monologue and I ended up getting a part for, again, I was in it for like 3 scenes. It really
Right.
wasn't a big part. Um,
But you're very funny in it. There's an audition scene. You're auditioning for Juliet.
Oh my God, I have a story to tell you. Okay, so they didn't know what they were going to do with that scene.
Oh, really?
But those 2 lines or whatever lines I did have, I remember he was on stage hiding because right after I said my line, I say thank you, and then I run back behind the curtains, and then Anton goes onto the stage. And every time we did the take, he would just look at me like right before he'd go on stage and be like, "You're so funny. You're so,"
Yeah. Yeah.
and my heart just melted. I was
Uh,
couldn't believe
well,
how.
you were very funny. Yeah. In that
Mhm.
scene. Hmm.
Well, that's very kind, but yeah, that was the first real like job where I really felt a lot of pressure, even though I had such a small little part in it. And then we had one scene where I had one line and then two other people had another line but it was like 300 extras and we had only one take to do it and Robert Downey Jr. was in the audience and I was the only one who flubbed up my line. And
Oh.
so they redid it and they retook it, but I just remember after Charlie Bartlett just walking away from that and being like I couldn't have worked with a nicer group of people. I got to meet Robert Downey, and we just spoke very briefly about a book he wanted to write. Um, I was just so enamored with him. I just kind of stood there like, yeah, yeah.
Do you remember? Was it like a memoir or something?
I think it was a memoir. Something about, again, I don't want to bring up his past because he's worked so hard. But yeah, something about wanting to write a memoir. And
Right.
but it was the first time that I was questioning if this was the industry I wanted to continue because
Oh,
being
really? Yeah.
I started having a lot of anxiety during that production. And again, I couldn't have had a smaller part. And I'm really glad people liked it. And I did, I made people laugh. But yeah, I remember walking away from that and just thinking, I don't know, it was a lot. It was a lot for me at least with such big names watching and again, you have like 1 or 2 lines and the anxiety was so bad I was forgetting it. So,
No, yeah.
but again, such a nice people. We went to the after party once we wrapped and Anton was there playing pool and I got to say hi to him, and he's like, "Come play pool with us." I'm like, "Okay." And
Cool. Yeah.
yeah, and then, gave him a hug and never, we usually don't keep in touch and stuff, and that's fine. But um yeah, I just remembered watching him and I'm like, this kid is gonna be the biggest star. He was just so
Yeah.
he just would take after take, people were just blown away, laughing, and just everybody on that set knew that he was gonna go really far in this industry, and he did. I remember being a fan of his until the day he died. I just watched everything
Yeah.
he was in, right?
Yeah. And I was I think of Drake was in that as well. Did you see Drake at all or
Okay, I know Drake as Aubrey from flipping like
Degrassi?
yeah. We only worked together briefly as kids because I used to sometimes do Walla for Degrassi. Yeah, so Walla meaning they get a group of kids to do like background, like, hey, in the hallway scenes. Hey, and we would just improvise. Hey, don't forget your book. Hey, hey, jacket or whatever to fill out sounds in hallways or whatever. And he had to come in to do a pickup line or something like that. And so I just remember him as like a goofball and like
Yeah.
silly, silly guy. And I'll never forget this. I went to Casa Loma, which is a big castle here in Toronto.
And there was a Goosebumps episode filmed there.
Oh, I wouldn't,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yep.
Perfect location. And I see Aubrey, and again, this is before he was Drake. And I'm just like, bro, what's up? Like, how you doing? And he's like, oh, working a bit on the acting, working a bit on the music. And like everybody in this industry is like multitasking, right? So they're either working on a record or modeling or acting or doing a play or build, it's not just, we're never just acting, really try to get our feet wet in all aspects of the arts. And so for me, it wasn't really something like, wow, it was like cool, so or five other people I know, like it's keep working at it, keep doing it, right?
Yeah.
And then like literally 6 months later, I'm stuck in traffic and a Drake song comes on and I'm
Oh
like,
man. Yeah.
WTF, what is going on? And he just blew up, right? So again, um, you never know in this industry who's going to make it and who's not. So now I see Drake, and again, I'm just like you and everybody else. I don't know him. I don't know anything about him, but from what I remember, such a funny kid, like really nice guy. He was always really nice to me. So nothing bad to say. But again, it's really cool to like look back and say, yeah, I knew them one, I knew them
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember watching Degrassi reruns and seeing him, and this was before he became the Drake we know today. And I was shocked when I
Hmm.
started to see him as a this very famous rap artist. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
still a different
totally.
experience. You knew him personally, but
And his parents were always super nice and down to earth, so again, I don't want to speak for him. I'm sure he would remember me if we bumped into each other, but we don't know each other, right? But it's
right,
it's really, really cool to see how different people have evolved and see where they are now. And a lot of people are just happy saying, I had a really great time as a kid, but I'm focusing on this now, right? So, and it's not always about who's the most talented. It's very taxing mentally, this industry, right? So,
yeah,
um, you can be very talented and you can be a go-getter and work hard, but sometimes mentally and physically, we're just not aligned to be in this industry, right? So it's not a black and white thing all the time. Not everything is very black and white in this industry. And some people can handle the rejection and all of that noise a lot better than other people can, right? So yeah, I remember I went down to LA. I had a meeting with Universal. They were looking for the next Avril Lavigne, and it was
oh wow,
yeah, me and four girls. And I paid for the trip. I paid for my mom to come. I got the hotel and everything. And I think I was like 17 or 18. And I was so excited. I'd learned like all these new songs I worked on and wrote. And I get there and he didn't even know who I was. He's like, "Oh,
oh
I
yeah,
have to go for lunch in 5 minutes. It was nice meeting you." And I just remember going back and just crying with my mom, being
oh
like, So and a couple times I thought about staying in LA and trying it, but I just know me. I don't think I could have handled it. Um, and again, I'm not saying I would have become a famous superstar if I'd stayed. I'm just saying it's not always a black and white thing. I've had a lot of my friends who are Canadian actors go down to LA and stay for years and never book a thing. And then the minute they come back
Yeah.
to Canada, they're booking. It's just you never know. You never know, right?
Yeah, I mean, I could never do what you've been doing. I wouldn't be able to handle all the rejection for sure. I couldn't do it.
I think it's more
Um,
than the rejection. It's just the games that are played and
yeah.
thing is really direct. No one really knows what's going on, and so yeah, it's very hard. Like I even when remember we were talking at one point in my band because I was in a rock band, in talks with this label, and they just told me like a front woman in rock will never make it. And
Oh, that's ridiculous. Yeah.
Amy Lee, and they're like, Amy Lee is an exception to the rule. And so we had a really hard time being taken seriously just because I was a female singer in a rock band. So again, it's like we look at that now and it's like, are you on drugs? That's the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard. But it was a
Of course, yeah.
us, for years. And here we were winning all these songwriting competition across the states with our music. And but because I was female, and I'm not saying because of the situation we would have made it. I'm just saying it's tough, man. It's such a tough industry. And then you get one song and you're never heard of again, right?
That can happen too, yeah.
Right? So, and I've had friends who are signed to labels and they're like, don't do it. Like we're trying to do that, right? So, um, yeah, I don't know. It's tough. The arts, it's a tough industry. And I think because I was a kid, I really got to see it through much more innocent eyes. And so it was a magical thing. But when you get older and you realize, like, it's one thing to be told constantly, you're not right for the part or you didn't get the part. But when they're actually like the business side of it, and it's kind of dirty,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Oh man,
So I
yeah.
wish every artist the best of luck, even when if I see someone on stage and my friends are like, ooh, she can't sing, I'm like, you know what? She's up there, man. Like she's doing her thing, at least she's trying, because it's tough.
Yeah.
I just want to say, like, I'm not just trying to say this to discourage any of the viewers or listeners to like not go into this industry. I'm just trying to be honest about what I've seen and experienced, but it's,
Of course.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is a challenging industry, and I think people should know that before diving into it. I do think things possibly have changed a little bit, hopefully for the better, in terms of now you don't necessarily have to rely on others to approve of you to get your music out there. I mean, we have YouTube and Instagram and streaming platforms where you really can put your own stuff out there. And if there's a big enough audience for it, you can become successful. So that, I mean, in that way, it's hopefully things are shaping up for the better.
Yeah, and it's also been really nice to see different types of faces on TV. Like growing up in the
Yeah.
90s, I never got auditions for lead characters because they always went to Caucasian actresses. And by the mid to the late 90s, legally, they started having to say on call sheets open to other ethnicities for the lead roles. But I knew I'll get the best friend. I'll get the
Yeah.
best friend role, the quirk. But I was very aware at a very young age that the way I looked would kind of might be a reason I don't get a part.
Oh, yeah, I mean that's really unfortunate that that's the way that the industry was for so long, and hopefully that's changing a little bit. But I still kind of see it, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it'll always, at least for the little time being, always be there. But just to see so many different faces, all different backgrounds,
Yeah.
coming to the forefront, especially being an Indigenous actress, seeing so many more Indigenous faces, um, that alone just has been really nice to see. Because like growing up constantly being told you're too brown or you're too
Oh wow, yeah,
ethnic, and it's like I'm indigenous from Canada, like with the, like so it's again it doesn't really matter. It's the words that are being said, right?
yeah.
I remember for one movie, I was supposed to play Michael J. Fox's niece. They really wanted me, but they wanted to put highlights in my hair and give me blue contacts, try to make me look a little more Caucasian. And my mom said, no, she's not doing the movie if she has to look like that. So,
I'm glad she put her foot down. That must have been, I mean, a little hard to do, I guess, since you were being offered a role. But
yeah, I was a little upset with her because I was like, it's Michael J. Fox. I don't care. But my mom had a bigger message for me, which I didn't
yeah,
fully understand at the time. But yeah, I'm grateful she did do that though. So, and I think working in comedy too, as a kid, most of the comedy stuff it didn't really matter what you looked like as much. I don't know if that's true or not, but on the shows I worked on, I was never aware of my skin color. I was just, oh, I'm just an actor, but it was I felt it more during the auditioning process and as I got a little older. So,
yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. If I told you some stories, you wouldn't know what to do with it. Like, so.
Oh,
mm, but that's the industry. That's part of the industry. When I got a little older, my agents were like, Hispanic is in, like learn some Spanish, get some breast implant,
uh,
maybe do this,
oh man,
and we can change your last name to something more Hispanic. And I'm like, what the heck are you
that's so
talking?
weird.
So it's
Yeah.
like, like as I'm kind of going into a grown-up actress, and I'm like, I'm not Hispanic. I don't even what are you talking about? And like today, things, you get canceled for that kind of stuff, but people don't realize like there's also a little bit of pressure, right? Um, so yeah, so a lot of I think young actors today, sorry, I know I'm kind of going off topic here, but
No, no, it's important. Yeah.
have issues with identity a bit because it's like I was this for so long and then I was told like being me wasn't acceptable and so and you're all playing all these characters and then when you get older they're trying to mold you and market you constantly you're like a product all the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as an adult now I can handle that and recognize that a lot more. But when you're young or you're even a young adult, your frontal lobe isn't even fully developed. Like, so you're still like, who do you want me to be in order for me to book something? When really that should never be discussed or even thought, really, right? But yeah, so again, it plays with you. It definitely plays with you. And being petite, I'm only like barely 5 feet tall. I didn't really fit into the leading lady, which is totally fine by me. I was always aware that I was a character actor, but my height also played like some, took me out of the running for some roles if like a really tall guy was cast or whatever. So,
Yeah.
um, again, so it has to kind of come back to like wanting to look in the mirror and feeling somewhat good about who you are outside of this industry, right?
Well, I mean, I just want to say I always loved seeing you in things. So, yeah, so in Goosebumps, Adventures of Shirley Holmes. So I feel like it's a shame. I think there's a lot of audiences who loved seeing you and would have loved to see more of you, but unfortunately, those making decisions, are kind of working from their own biases, and it's to the detriment of the art form and the viewership who really want to see you and other people who are like you. So it's a shame. So I thought I'd just throw that in there.
Oh,
And I'm sorry you had to be told those kinds of things growing up. That's really really horrible. And I'm optimistic. I hope that's happening less and less nowadays.
yeah.
Um,
I would think
so
so,
there's
just by thank you for saying all those nice things. And
of course, of
not
course. No, and I mean it. Yeah.
Oh, and I appreciate that so much because I did have fun and I always wanted to make people laugh and entertain people. Um, and I do, like there is a part of me that misses it a lot, but I'm also recognize that I'm 41 now and to get back into the game at this point, oh yeah, Leah. Might be I don't even know where I'd start,
Yeah, the industry's changed a lot too, I guess.
It's
Yeah.
changed a lot, and
Hmm.
that was one reason why I think I also fell in love with the voice world so much. I could just go in my jams or my
Yeah.
jeans and, beat up t-shirt, and I can just, it was all about what I can bring to the table being 100% me, didn't matter what I looked like, how tall I was, the color of my skin. It really was just about, I found solace in that, So would I love to be on camera again? Yeah, there are parts of me and for sure times. I just don't know if I could manage that lifestyle for one, because it is, it can be very hard on the mind and body. And also just with the voice, you're constantly in a state of pick me, pick me, pick me. And being an artist to boot and already being like, pick me, pick me. And if you're put in a pick me situation in every aspect of your life, it becomes very overwhelming. So, but yeah, 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 yeah. I don't know if I would ever do it, but I do appreciate like it melts my heart and it makes me so happy when people come up to me or send me a message and like I loved you in this, I loved you in that. Like just because I was a fan of these shows too, I was a fan too. I'm just so happy that I got to be there.
Of course, yeah. So one of the last things I want to talk about here is your music. You mentioned quite a few times already. You were writing songs at such a young age too. On the set of Night of the Living Dummy 3, Hayden Christensen's asking you to share the music you've been writing. I want to say so I did some research, though you did win a John Lennon Songwriting
Oh my
Award. Is
God,
that correct?
yeah,
For the song Maybe.
you're so on top of your research. I'm so impressed by this whole interview.
Of course, and maybe it's a great song, great metal song. And I got to tell you, your song "Without You." So I listened to this on YouTube. I'm not lying. I was listening to it. I was tearing up. It's just
Oh,
so beautiful, and your voice is just so phenomenal. The only thing that disappointed me is that when I was listening to it, it tends to cut off at the end. I don't know if there's more to it or something. And I was thinking that's no problem. I'll just go and find the full song, the full EP, whatever. And I was looking and looking. I couldn't find it anywhere. So now I'm still kind of waiting to hear the rest of the song.
oh no, I'm gonna go on YouTube and check that out because again, I posted that a very long time ago on a whim, and I had like whatever 16, 17-year-old fan helping me like navigate how to use YouTube. Um, so I will try and the full song should be on there. But thank you for listening to that. Yeah, I wrote Without You when I was like 16 or 17 and yeah, I've always been into music. I published my first song when I was like 8 or 9 because
Oh, wow.
9 or 10 maybe because I it was heard by someone who was managing the Chidok McMaster Children's Hospital, and they wanted to use it as the theme song of the telethon. So in order to do that, it had to get published, and I had
Oh,
like
that's amazing.
Sharon Lois and Bram and like all these people singing my song, and
That's amazing. Yeah.
my mom bought me a penguin tuxedo and was like singing my song.
Oh, that's so cool.
Thank you. But yeah, and then when I was in my teen years, I found myself a really great songwriting partner. And the first CD are my songs, and then the second CD EP are songs we wrote together. Um, and again, like because my songwriting partner and I were sick all the time, whether breaking bones or whatever, we had a really hard time sticking to live shows. and
Yeah.
performing. And so we, after two EPs, and kind of getting a sense from the industry that it's going to get it's going to be really hard to get signed. We kind of just continued doing it for fun. Um, but I actually just stepped into the studio 3 weeks ago,
Oh, cool.
record a new song. And so I might be posting that and maybe taking my music and doing it a little more, um, putting a little more focus on that. But again, I don't know if I'd ever be able to tour or play shows and stuff, but I just wanted to at least release it to the world and try and just have some fun doing that. We'll see what happens with the song. Like, obviously, you'll be the first person I tell.
Yeah, I really want to hear it. I'm excited. I would really love if there's any way for me to get my hands on these EPs that you're talking. Because I was looking, I couldn't find them.
Yeah, my mom probably. I think we have the original CDs downstairs in the basement somewhere. So I'll try and find. I think my sister even has one of those like transfer from CD to like MP3 thingies.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I will try to get you those songs because they do mean a lot, and it was such a wonderful time. And can you believe my sister married my songwriting partner? So
Oh,
he's
cool.
yeah, so
Yeah,
he's in the family forever now.
that's right.
So yeah, but I do like even more than acting, I'll be honest with you, my first love is music. I love it. There's nothing that makes me feel more alive than playing piano and singing. So I'm really, really happy that you liked those songs.
Oh, I love them. Absolutely, of course. And yeah, I've taken enough of your time, I think. But
This is
thank you
wonderful.
so much. Yeah, this is such a fun conversation. And it means a lot to me that you took all this time to talk to me about your experiences in the industry and all of your memories. Is
Yeah.
there anything else that you wanted to add before we sign off here?
Just to say, like, thank you to all the viewers and people who are actually interested in the work I've done. And even now, as a 41-year-old, it's such a wild trip to like get messages from people, like I said, like you or others who like either were diehard fans of this or really enjoyed me in this, or even if I wasn't in it that much, I was just a huge fan of this show. It really warms my heart. Um, and yeah, and like in everything in life, nothing is perfect, even though I've expressed some of my downs or some of my struggles. Um, I've really had a very blessed journey in this, and I'm grateful for everything. It's just unfortunately, sometimes there are a few rough patches when you are in an industry like this as a kid, and rightly so. But yeah, just want to say thank you. And it was an amazing time in my life. And the fact that I'm still doing voice work, um, again, is just a really big blessing. So I'm really grateful to everyone. And again, this is going to be such an awesome podcast. So
Oh,
I
thank you.
wish you all the best of luck with it, and I hope I can come back.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And we didn't even talk about a lot of your voice acting work, Total Drama, Cyber Chase. So yeah, you'll definitely have to come back.
Yeah, I will. I will. And we can talk all about the little voices and whatever else you want. You've been so pleasant. Thank you so much for this great interview.
And thank you.
This has been an episode of the 90s Kid Library podcast. A special thanks to the Rallies for providing the music. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can also learn about this episode and future episodes by following me, 90s Kid Library, on Instagram. Until then, this is Jared Goodman reminding you that you are all that and a bag of chips. Peace out.